Mr. President, I want to congratulate Mr. Al-Nasser for becoming the president of this session, and I'm sure that he has the ability and experience to complete this mission. At the same time, I want to thank Mr. Dice for his UN General Assembly presidency and the contribution he made. I want to take this opportunity, as South Sudan has become a member of the UN, the 193rd member of the UN. Congratulations. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, we have passed the first decade of the 21st century. Looking back over these 10 years, the world has been polarized. Economic globalization has developed. Our interdependency has strengthened. Scientific revolution has changed the face of society. At the same time, traditional and non-traditional menaces and global challenges are meeting. The world is not peaceful. We have entered the second decade of the 21st century. The peace and development of the world is at an abnormal development stage. The international situation is becoming more complex, and there is an overall peace, but there are instabilities and indeterminate aspects and problems in our development. For our joint development, it is more important than ever before and more urgent. Currently, our global development is at a new stage, and economic recovery has been weak. The financial markets have been in turmoil, and sustainable development is difficult. The economic development is at a difficult point, and parts of the world maintain unstable, and terrorism is spreading. Global challenges are increasing, and the international situation is at a point of stability. The North-South development is unequal, and the crisis has meant that the poor population of the world has increased by 64 million, and the population in hunger has reached 1 billion. The UN Millennium Development Goals are urgent, and we need to strengthen cooperation to help the least developed countries to get over the problem of subsistence. In challenges which are ahead, we need to develop and take new opportunities. Economic globalization has meant that we have moved closer together and search for security, and with stability we will develop. This has become a common consensus. With innovative thoughts, we have conquered difficulties, and developed countries have developed their fiscal systems and taken stimulus measures to carry out economic restructuring to get over the economic crisis. The developing countries have been developing well. Especially, it's worth mentioning that emerging markets have been developing quickly, and this has promoted world economic development. Economic governance measures have been reforming, and regional cooperation has been developing strongly. We have been developing a green economy and looking for sustainable measures of development, and for our joint development we have a new force and a new space for development. With new opportunities and challenges ahead, how will we work together and get over these challenges for mutual benefit and joint development? This is history's joint responsibility and mission for us. On this point, we need to bring about a good development stage for economic recovery. The economic crisis has affected the world. This has not been taken away, and the world recovery is weak and not equal. We need to strengthen our communication and work together, cooperate, and to send out a strong signal to strengthen the international community's confidence in economic recovery and development. We need to promote fair, just, and inclusive systems for the international monetary system, and to increase the voice and representation of emerging markets. We also need to support the crisis mechanism and move towards long-term economic development. In the world economic governance, we will play more of a role. We will promote economic development and growth. We will support emerging countries to search for new development methods and support their efforts. We will oppose any kind of trade protectionism and encourage multilateral trade, supporting nations, and promote the Doha round to move towards its goals. We will develop a political base for development, and whatever the country's situation, and they are all equal members of the international community, and with equal rights for development, these will be protected. We will respect each other and treat each other equally. This is the basic principle of international relations and is an important safeguard of our economic development. In the situation currently, we will stick to the UN Charter and its principles and uphold the UN's authority. We will not interfere in domestic affairs of nations, and democratization is particularly important at this stage. We will respect the sovereignty and territory of countries, and a country's internal measures should be decided only by that country. We will oppose any kind of interference in domestic affairs. Diversity of the world is a source of riches for the world development, and we should learn from each other's experiences and communicate, and the larger countries should not bully the smaller, or the rich the poorer. We would respect the right of each country to choose their own development path and the cultural diversity. We will develop inclusive and common ground in our development, and we will learn from each other and move forward together. We will work for a safe environment for development. Our experience has shown that stability and development move forward together. If we do not develop, then we cannot stabilize. In the same way, if we do not have stability, then we cannot have development. We should follow the UN Charter's principles and persist in peaceful means to solve international conflicts and problems, and we should oppose any kind of armed force or menacing. We should oppose terrorism, separatism or extremism, and promote the joint security of mankind. We support the people of South Sudan, their choice. We hope that South Sudan will become a stable, developing nation. The international community should support Sudan and South Sudan in their dialogue to solve all the unresolved problems and get on well together, to develop jointly and work for regional stability. China has encouraged negotiations between South and North Sudan and a peaceful solution to the Darfur problem. We will work with the international community and promote regional peace and stability and development. We will play a constructive role. China supports Palestine's independence, and we support Palestine as a member of the UN. And through political negotiations, we support the two nations plan and the 1967 border boundary as with East Jerusalem as the capital, with full sovereignty. We support an independent Palestine and Syrian, Israeli, and Lebanon's negotiations to work for a peaceful Middle East and countries working together. We hope that related parties in the international community will make continuous efforts for this to promote Middle Eastern peace and move this endeavor forward. China is concerned about Southeast Asia's development, and we will not get involved in domestic affairs. We support countries taking control of their own affairs and the desires of peoples. We hope that related parties will work with political dialogue to solve problems and to search for stability and order. Libya has entered into a war period, but they have moved towards transitional government. We support the transitional committee in supporting the people. We hope that related parties under the leadership of the committee will have a peaceful political process, and they will be able to unify the country and support the situation's stability. China supports the UN in Libya and their important role in the reconstruction efforts. We support the UN and the team in Libya and their work. China is concerned about Syria's development, and we hope that related parties will exercise restraint and oppose any kind of violence and bloody conflict. We want to move the situation towards a peaceful one. We believe that reform should be the goal, and we need to have inclusive political development as a framework, and dialogue as the means to solve the current crisis. This is the correct method. International community should respect the sovereignty of Syria and the territorial integrity to solve the problem and solve the problem to evolve, and we will support regional peace. We welcome the positive developments on the Korean Peninsula, and through dialogue we can solve the Korean Peninsula's problems. The six-party talks are the way to get denuclearized and a peaceful Korean Peninsula. China is supporting negotiations to appease the tense situation and work towards stability in the peninsula. The multi-party negotiations are something that we support, and we hope that related parties will take the opportunities to engage in dialogue and return to the six-party talks. We will promote the development of the North and South, and the world is very unequal development in North and South, and if the North and South cannot develop together, then we will not have sustainable development. Countries should escape from poverty and have economic development, otherwise there will not be a joint prosperity. If the world is going to implement the UN Millennium Development Goals, this is urgent and it is a difficult task. Developed countries should take measures to stick to their promises and open the markets to reduce their debts and support developing nations. The resources in the international financial community should help developing countries, especially the least developed countries. Developing countries should explore methods which are beneficial to development and eradicating poverty, and seek a higher level of development. Recently, the grain crisis has been very severe, and Africa has had its most severe drought in 60 years and a famine. The international community should increase its aid to the region and to stabilize the price of bulk commodities and to help developing countries to increase their development ability. So the results of development can benefit all countries and regions. Mr. President, the 21st century, the first 10 years, have been a period of development and changes in the world. China has continued to develop very quickly and develop relations with the world. This has changed. The results of China's development and its future development has been a focus of attention for the rest of the world. Over the last 10 years, China has made a continuous effort, and we have increased our economic power and the quality of life of the people. China has become the world's second largest economy, the largest exporter, the second largest importer, and the largest emerging market in the world. We have solved the subsistence problem for 1.3 billion people, and we have decreased our poor population. But at the same time, our development has faced a lot of difficulties. This cannot be overlooked. China is still a developing nation. It has a large population, a poor foundation, and there is uncoordinated development. China needs to develop its own goals, and it needs to put in more of a long-term effort. Not long ago, China issued its 12th five-year program, and on the basis of scientific development, we will transform the development model. We will promote scientific innovation and deepen our reform and opening up to promote long-term economic development and social harmony. A more sustainable development, if society is more harmonious and China is more open up, this is the situation that the world is facing. China's development has given a lot of benefits to the Chinese people, and it also has made a positive contribution to world prosperity. Over the last 10 years, China's imports have exceeded $750 billion US dollars, and related countries have had over 14 million jobs as a result of this. With the 12th five-year program, in 2015, China's economy will reach 8.6 trillion US dollars. And we expect that in the next 5 years, we will import over 1 billion in products, and we will play more of a role in the world economy and development. China's development is inseparable from the world, and our development will continue to contribute to world development. As a developing country, China is focused on strengthening and developing equal development and cooperation, and providing more support for this. China has removed the debts for a number of least developed countries, 380. We have developed least developing nations in Africa. 95% of their products are exempt from tariffs, and we will provide these countries with schools and hospitals. There are 2,100 projects. We will develop human resources, 120,000 people. We will help to solve problems on the Horn of Africa, and we have made large contributions to in grain aid, and we are helping countries hit by calamities to solve their grain shortages. We are working towards the UN Millennium Development Goals. This can be seen with your eyes. And with China's development, China will become an important member of the international community. We will provide more opportunities. We will promote world joint development, and we will produce a favorable international environment. For a long time, China has worked towards a peaceful international situation. We have developed ourselves, and our development will promote world peace. China has taken responsibility internationally, and we will solve key problems peacefully. We take part in peacekeeping activities, and 28 UN peacekeeping activities have our troops. We have sent more than 19,000. We are the country that sent the most peacekeeping troops out of the Security Council members. China has experienced earthquakes and tsunamis, and we've sent aid teams and contributed aid. We have contributed to international piracy cooperation to solve these problems and supported world peace. Mr. President, the wheel of history is turning. Over the next 10 years, peace and development has become the tide of the time. This will not change. China is developing, and our pace will not stop. China is developing its modernization, and we will make a contribution to the civilization of the world. China will continue to follow a road of peaceful development, and we will have peaceful and independent foreign relations, and we will expand open and mutually beneficial methods, and the Chinese people's struggles and innovation will mean that we can have friendly relations with the people of the world, so that the Chinese people will be able to live better days, and this will benefit mankind's development and progress. A prosperous development and stable China will become part of the world's prosperity, and mankind's joint development will be something we contribute to. Let's join hands and work together in the basis of these opportunities to expand our cooperation, and in the face of challenges we will continue to develop and build a peaceful and mutually prosperous, harmonious world. Thank you very much, everybody.